Today I'm sharing with you 6 ways I've changed the way I apply my eye makeup for an everyday look, since my eyes are now more mature. I'm 51 and I have hooded, crepey, sometimes dry eyes that have lines and wrinkles. And so the way that I've applied my makeup in the past isn't always as flattering as it was when I was younger. Now I know there are no rules in makeup. This is just things that have helped me feel better about the way my aging eyes look with makeup on them. You can put as much sparkle, as much glitter. You can do your eyes any way that you want to and makes you feel confident. As we age, that's what's most important, that we feel good about ourselves and our own skin. So there are no rules. These are just things that have helped me feel better about the way my eyes look with makeup compared to the way they did when I was 20 or 30. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stay tuned, stick around, consider becoming part of the family. Hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up if you like the content, and let me know what you think in the comments. What have you done that's different than maybe what you did 10 years ago or 20 years ago if you're a more mature woman? This is just the basics. This is not all-inclusive. It doesn't cover every type of thing that you can do to make your eyes look better. This is just an everyday, simple makeup look in the way that I've adjusted my application. Let's get into it. They say that the eyes are the windows to the soul, but I think they can also be the windows to our age. And while I am not ashamed of getting older, I am aging gratefully, I also want to make sure that I'm using techniques that are the best for the age that I am. I thought we'd do part 1 today of how my makeup has changed since I've become more mature. And we're going to start with the eyes today. So the first thing that I will say that I've changed is how I do my eyebrows. They're still very full and they get very long in some areas. And then basically I have areas where my tail is over here where there's no eyebrows at all. And then there's some sparse spots up in here. They frame my eyes, so I do think it's important that I pay attention to my eyebrows and fill them in some way. So I know that for a while these big brows were in. I know that these very heavily waxed eyebrows were in. I was never really good at doing my makeup. I am not an expert. I am not a makeup artist. I am a makeup enthusiast. I just want to look the best that I can, as naturally as I can. These do need some help. And I'm just going to show you what I do. I try to stay as very close to the natural eye shape as I can. I don't want to overdraw in my eyebrows. I want to use wispy strokes. I don't want anything that's too dark, too thick, or too harsh. I want to keep my natural shape as much as possible. However, I do want to frame my eyes. I do want to fill in the sparse areas. And I do want to give myself an eye lift slightly with my eyebrow pencil. Right now I'm using Brow Ultra Slim by Maybelline. I'm using it in the color medium brown. I like to use a fine tip. That's most important. There are plenty on the market that I like. I am not exclusive to one. I really like Benefit's products. I like Anastasia's products right now. Since Ida, I just haven't been shopping for makeup a lot, and this happens to be what I have. I am basically going to just quickly trace the bottom to sort of give me that shape. Again, I'm trying to stick to my natural shape as much as possible. What I don't want to do is leave any sparse spots. What I also don't want to do is go too thick, and I also don't want to bring this line down. If I followed the natural shape of my eyebrows, because gravity has taken its toll, my eyebrows are also coming lower. That makes me look aged. So I actually want to take this and I want to go slightly above. This is the only place I'm going to exaggerate my natural brow line. I'm just going to go a little bit higher right here just to give myself an arch. But I'm using a very light hand. And then instead of going down, I'm going to kind of go out. And I'm going to stop before the natural end of my tail, because if I followed this all the way down, it would be droopy. It would be dragging my eyes down. And then I'm going to fill them in. Again, a light hand. I don't want it to be too dark. I don't want it to be thick. I don't want to call attention to my brows, either positively or negatively. I just want them to frame my face and not have any gaps. If you stick to your natural line more than exaggerating the line, it also looks more natural if you're not really good at your brows. I'm going to take the little spoolie on the end and I'm going to run it through just to double check that there are no sparse spots and that the color is not too harsh in any one area. Just going to make sure it's even. So I'm going to do the same thing on this eyebrow. So then I'm going to go in with a brow gel. I like to go in with a clear one. This is Brow Obsessive by Wet n Wild. I have some sturdier ones. I have some more expensive ones. Just something that you like, that you feel comfortable with, that's going to help hold them in place. I don't need mine to be plastered to my face. I'm going for a more natural look. I just want them to be a little more tame and not have errant hairs all over the place. So while you will find people that can do brows better than I can, I think the principles here are that you don't go too dark, that you don't make them too much bigger than your natural eyebrow line, and that you lift a little bit in the middle to help draw up the appearance of your eyes, and that you don't bring that tail too far down, because then what you just have is this. Second thing, I want to brighten my eyes. Just like you use highlighter to draw things forward on your face and you use dark to help things recede, it's the same principle on your eyes. So I've found as I've gotten older that brighter is better. You can see there's no eyeshadow on my eyes, and I have a natural pink pigment to my eyelid just on its own. I also have veining and creping. So this isn't a skincare video. We've talked about that actually in my last video. I spent some time talking about the products I use around my eyes, so I'm not going to repeat that today. You can go back and see that video if you want. But what I want to talk about is covering up the veining, giving myself a clean, bright canvas. I want to draw brightness to my eyes so that I look fresh and awake. So I will use either an eye primer like Anastasia's. I think everybody's heard of this eye primer. It really gives good coverage, gives you a solid base. But I also like the MAC paint pots. This is Painterly, and what I like about this one is I've picked a color that's very close to my natural flesh tone. So it's going to cover the veining, but it's also good for a one and done brightening eyeshadow. I can put this on and leave it, and that could be it. So I can take a little brush. I just want a thin layer. You never want to build up. If you have crepey, older eyes, you don't want to emphasize that texture. You want to work in light layers. So I'm just going to take this little bit and I'm going to smooth it all over my eye. MAC's paint pots come in a lot of colors. There's also soft ochre if you have less of a pink eye or pink undertone, less of pink undertones and you have warmer undertones. You might find that that is a better color for you. And the reason that I use a brush, you can use a finger, is because I want to make sure that I have the whole entire lid covered and primed, all the veining covered up, and I want to make sure that the layer is thin and that I'm not making any additional wrinkles. You can see it's very close to the natural color of my eye. Now, if I wanted to show you, this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Eye Primer. So I could do the same thing. I'm just going to clean off this brush. I'm going to go in with a very little bit. And it all depends on what look you're going for. The key is thin, covering up veining, not adding too much texture, But I don't want something that's just going to enhance the longevity of my makeup. I want something that is going to even out the colors on my eyelid. The other thing that I will do is I will bring it right inside the corner of my eyes as well. Because right here up against my nose, and I can do this with the Painterly paint pot, or I can do it with the Anastasia, it gets a little dark in here. And I'm not talking about under my eyes, I'm just talking about on the inside of my eyes. So once I've smoothed out the product, see, this cancels the pink. If I'm not going with a pink look, if I'm going with a more neutral colored eye, I may not want to go with the pink. I may want to use soft ochre in the MAC paint pot, or, which is a warmer, more yellow tone, or I may want to go with the Anastasia, or another primer that's going to give me that clean base. The MAC paint pot in Painterly, a lot of times this is my one and done eyeshadow. This is it. I will add my eyeliner, I'll add mascara, all the rest of my components, and I will go out just like this. Because there's no veining, there's a light wash of pink, it's brightening, and I find light colors are more flattering as I get older than darker colors. So one of my favorite one and dones is the Pillow Talk Eyes to Mesmerize by Charlotte Tilbury. Take a little brush, grab a little bit of that product, just a little bit. Again, I want to work in soft, thin layers. I'm just going to bring that color up. These are easy to work with. You really can't mess them up. They're easy to blend. They give you time. They don't dry down quickly. You can wipe off an area if you find that it's too intense or too thick. Again, I think a bright eye color really makes my eyes pop. And the shade that you use can depend on the color of your eyes as well. So in this eye, that's going to be all I'm going to do with the eyeshadow. On this eye, I'm going to use this little palette by Clinique. And I'm going to create a little bit more of a complicated eye. I'm going to go in with this very light shade all over. This also provides a powder over that Anastasia Beverly Hills primer and sets it. Then I'm going to go in with this darker pink. I'm just going to go across that mobile lid. In my crease, I'm going to go with this light brown shade. I think this is a perfect palette for mature eyes. Do I still use shimmer at times? Yes. But I just go lighter on it than I used to. And when I do apply it, I stick to the very center of my lid on the smoothest part of my eyelid so that it's not emphasizing texture. When I'm doing my transition color, I'm also going out and not down. So I'm going across so that I'm not dragging my eye down. And I find that mattes, for the most part, look better on my eyes than shimmers. If I want to darken up anything, I'm going to darken up that outer V. So I'm going to go in with this color. I want to use a very small, precise brush. I'm going to go in with the brush that came with this Clinique set. I'm going to apply some of that brown. I'm working in thin layers. And I'm going up. With my makeup application, I just want to pull the eyes up. want to make sure nothing is causing the optical illusion of making people look down. I want their eyes to be going in an upward motion. This allows me to be able to put it on in a precise location. It's very small. It's good for hooded eyes with small spaces. And it's blending it very well also. And that's it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little bit of shimmer to show you that you still can if you want to. I'm going to go in with this inner corner shade right here. But I'm going to use it on the center of my lid. And I'm going to take that little brush. I'm going to smooth over it so I have a little bit of sparkle, but I don't emphasize any texture. Next tip is eyeliner. I always want eyeliner or some definition right near the lash line. Just like my eyebrows, my eyelashes have gotten sparse with age too. So that really helps them pop. You can either take a little brush like this one by BK Beauty. Look how tiny this is. You can't get more precise with this one. So I could take this brown. I could just go right along the lash line. I don't want to go too far above the lash line because I don't want to take up lid space. I just want to fill in any gaps in my lash line so that my eyelashes can still pop. Now if I wanted to create a little bit of a wing, I would start a little before that downward turn on the edge of my eye. And again, I would just bring that up. I love this size of a brush. It's just causing the eye to go up a little bit when they're looking at you. It's not dramatic. I find if I use black, it's too dark on me these days. If you like using a liquid liner, you can use something like this one by Benefit. This is the roller liner, and it's in brown. They also have one that I like by Maybelline. This is Master Precise All Day eyeliner in brown. And what I like about these is they have felt tips. It makes it easier for an older hand to handle. And basically I'm just going to use little strokes. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to go as close to my lash line as I can. Because I don't want to take up lid space. And that's it. I really, really, really like this one. So if I wanted to make a little wing to draw the eye up again, I would not go all the way to the edge of my eye. I would just flick it up. I call this an old lady wing because it's not the typical dramatic wing. So I kept light layers, I kept lighter colors. You can go more bold if you want to. If I was going to go more bold in this corner, I would keep it just on the same place that I put that darker brown. I would just use a more intense color. Mascara has become more important to me these days because of the lash loss and the lash thinness. So you just pick a mascara of your choice. Now I also always use a color corrector underneath my eyes. Usually I'm using that alone without a concealer these days. My favorites are the color corrector by Tarte. This is in light medium. It's got that peach tone that is going to help combat any under eye circles, and it's also going to brighten my under eyes. The other one that I like is the one by Charlotte Tilbury. This is in the color 1. It's fair or pale. They're all about the same tone. The other one that I use a lot is very pricey. This one's by Sisley. I have this one in the shade 1. I like this one because it has an applicator that's metal. My Color Science one also has this. I don't have the Color Science one out right now, but they all do the same thing. You just pick one that works for you. You take a little tiny bit and you put it right here on that inner corner. My dark circle kind of goes down to right here. I have very, very, very little product. And then I'm going to hit that outer corner. I'm going to take a flat brush or a concealer brush. This is the one that came with the Sisley product and I actually really like it, but any flat brush will do. I'm going to take that tiny, tiny, tiny bit of product and I'm going to just tap it in right there where I have the dark circle. This is a balance. This is a balance of covering enough of the darkness to make you feel comfortable without making any cakiness or drawing attention to your under eyes. And some of that is individual preference. I think less is definitely more. And then I'm going to go in with a light powder. I'm not going to go in with the concealer. I think this is enough for me. I'm going to use a powder like the Cocoa. This is the Brightening Moisture Powder. This is a face powder, but I think that because it's hydrating, it does work well to set this underneath my eye without causing caking. Or I'll use my Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Finish Airbrush Powder, which is also light, barely there, and it's not going to look cakey. One of my other favorites is the Pat McGrath. It's one of the things about Pat McGrath that I think is maybe worth the spend. This is her under eye blurring powder. So I'm going to use a little bit of that today. I'm going to pick up a tiny, tiny bit on a fluffy brush. I'm going to knock it off. I'm just going to go in ever so light. If I still had any caking, if I decided that I still wanted concealer, I really like this Kosas, I would go in and just add a little tip to the same part. I always go in with a little squalene oil. This is by Good Molecules. I rub it between my ring fingers till it's almost absorbed. I mean, the tiniest, 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 tiniest bit. And if there's any caking on the top, I can add it too. It doesn't mess up my makeup. It smooths out my lids. It is a humectant, so it draws moisture in, and it also has an occlusive, so it helps keep that water that's drawn in from evaporating. And it smooths out any crepiness without messing up my eye look. So we're going to add a little mascara. I have the Lash Sensational Sky High here. So those are the changes that I've made in the way I apply makeup since I've gotten older. And I do think that it causes my eyes to be brighter and helps them not look so small due to the hooded nature, and helps them not look so crepey. So brighter, less is more. If I want to have a glam night, I'll add the dark, but I'll add it more to the outer corners of my eye, and I will increase the glitter or the sparkliness at times, but I'll focus on the smoothest part of my eye, which is usually right there in the middle. And I can look made up and polished without accentuating my age. So it's not looking younger, it's just not drawing attention to the changes that aging has made in my eyes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll have part 2 where we'll focus on the changes that I've made with the face, and we might have one in between that. So I hope you guys have a good week. Go out and live like Mel.